So this lesson we will be talking about rational expressions, what is a rational expression, and how we are going to determine the domain and range of a rational expression. Feel free to raise your concerns from time to time if discussion is not made clear or you yourselves having doubts of your understanding regarding the lessons. Okay, so let's first discuss what is a rational function. A rational function, by the way, class, is a function made by rational expressions. What makes a function a function? You notice the function notation. What makes an expression an expression? It's made of letters and numbers. So again, a rational function is an equality between the notation of a function notation and the rational expression. What makes an expression a rational expression? In simple terms, rational expression is a fraction. Sorry. Let's say for a while. Rational expression is a fraction. Again, it's a fraction wherein the numerator and the denominator are both polynomials. Again, the numerator and the denominator are both polynomials. The polynomials are expressed as function p of x for the numerator and function q of x as our denominator. Now, take note that your denominator must not be equal to 0. Otherwise, your function or your expression will end up being undefined. As being said, that a number divided by a 0 is undefined. In other words, your denominator should not be equal to a 0 polynomial. And if and when your denominator has a 0 polynomial, or let's put it this way, if your polynomial in the denominator can be substituted by a value of your x, which ends up with the denominator to be a 0 polynomial, then that is now the restrictions of your rational expression. That is now the exclusion of your domain. Okay, so here are examples of a rational expression. By the way, class, when we further define a polynomial, it is an algebraic expression with a non-negative integer exponents. Again, um, non-negative means all exponents are positive. Integer means all values as its exponent ranging from 0 to infinity. It does not concern of a negative value. All or being an integer says that it's a whole number. So it will not involve expressions or exponents which are fractions. Okay, so here are examples of rational expressions, class. So as to further define what is a rational expression. So we have here 3x plus 7 all over 5. The numerator is 3x plus 7. The denominator is 5. The numerator is a linear function. If you notice the types of function that we had in the before lesson. And the denominator is a constant function. Or the numerator is a linear binomial. And the denominator is a monomial, which are both polynomials. The second example, you have there a quadratic binomial as your numerator and a binomial as your denominator. Notice that the exponents of your expressions are ranging from 0 to infinity, positive infinity. I mean the expression, the variable, the unknown variable x ranges its exponent from 0 to um, 0 to positive infinity. Notice 7 here. The coefficient of 7 or the literal coefficient is x to the power of 0. Huh? Grade 9 algebra, a number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So 7 times 1 is just 7. That makes it a constant expression. And another one wherein your denominator is a trinomial. So these are rational expressions. Okay. Again, I had to express this as as a clear fact to everyone that not all fractions are rational expressions. Okay. While rational expressions are a fraction of two polynomials, there are several other fractions that can't be said as a rational expression. For example, we have examples number 1, 2, 3, x minus 8 all over x squared minus 5x minus 24. The second example there, you have 2x squared all over the square root of 3x minus 7. The third example there, we have quantity 5x minus 1 raised to the power of 1/4 all over 8x minus 3. So of the three expressions, which are your rational expression and which are not rational expressions? The first one, is this a rational expression? Sure. Is the first one a rational expression? This one. Your answer is? Ah, parang sapi tayo ah. Chat mo na lang, chat mo na lang. Okay? I'll ask the second example while Cher is trying to chat her answer in the first one. So the second example is 2x squared all over square root of 3x minus 7. What is this one, class? Is this a rational expression or not a rational expression? Let me ask Alan. Alan?
Not a rational fraction, sir.
Not a rational expression. So remember your answer, huh? How about the last one? 5x minus 1 quantity raised to the power of 1/4 all over 8x minus 3. Is this a rational expression or not? Let me ask Ilona. Ilona. The third one, Ilona. Not or yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, your answer is a yes, which means it's a rational expression. Okay? So while we read the answer of sure in the first example, it is not a rational expression. Okay, so sure answered not a rational expression to the first one. Actually, the first one is the rational expression. Rational expression siya. Bakit? Kasi yung numerator mo, polynomial, yung denominator mo, polynomial. Tingnan mo yung exponent ng x, 1, x squared, x 0. These are polynomial expressions. So this is a rational expression. The second one is not a rational expression. Alan is correct that this is not a rational expression. Um, um, Follow-up question. If this is not a rational expression, then what is the second example? Vince Ehira, what kind of an expression is the second example? Vince, if we have here. Yes, Vince is around. So Vince, if this is not a rational expression, what do you think is the second example? May nag-chat. Just a polynomial, sir. This is not a polynomial. The denominator is not a polynomial. That is why this is not a rational expression. The numerator is a polynomial, yes. But the denominator makes this expression not a rational expression because your denominator is not a polynomial. Your denominator is a radical expression because of the presence of the square root or the radical sign, making the whole expression a radical expression with the presence of the radical sign. Okay? The third one, Alona, is not a rational expression. What makes it not a rational expression? The numerator. The numerator, 5x minus 1 raised to the power of 1/4. Let me go back to the definition of a polynomial again. A polynomial is an algebraic expression with a non-negative integer exponent. And I believe 1/4 is not an integer. This is not an integer. When you talk about integer, whole number. But this is not a whole number, rather this is a fraction. Therefore, the third expression is a fractional exponent, or a fractional, the numerator contains a fractional exponent. And you know, when this will be expressed further in higher mathematics, this will become the fourth root of 5x minus 1, which means the end result of the third example is not a rational expression, because this is a radical expression. If we express 1/4 into a symbol notation. Get it? So please see the difference. If you notice, for example, I will ask a question, find the domain of the rational expression. And if you cannot find any rational expression to the given, don't answer the domain, because the given in itself is faulty to begin with. It is not a rational expression, so no need to find the domain. Okay? But we can find the domain of a radical expression. Nagyan po yung domain ng radical expression. Okay? Okay, let's try the next slide. Here now is an introduction to rational function class. A rational function is a function wherein it is composed of a rational expression. See the function f of x equals a rational expression. X squared minus 8 all over x plus 3 is a rational expression with the presence of a function notation f of x. Then this is a rational function. Please remember that the notation f of x is read f of x, function f of x, and not f times x. Okay? Let's define further what is a rational function class. A rational function is again a fraction of two polynomials wherein the denominator is not a zero polynomial. Because if that denominator is a zero polynomial, then that is our restriction to the values of your domain. In our prelim lessons, this restriction becomes the asymptotes of your graph of a rational function. Prepare in advance a graphing notebook, a graphing paper, or anything that you wish to use for graphing purposes. Since our next lesson in the prelims, we are going to graph a rational function. Okay. Do you have Edson in the session? Edson? Here. Edson.
Yes, sir.
Any news from from our friend Tristan Hirana?
He said he's not yet sure though, sir, about the going in class because gaaway na sila sa yung mother.
Um, uh, Putting away the lesson for a while, class. I don't know with you, but I just wish that all the students in this frame, in this session, will realize that your parents will not do anything harmful to you. Now, your parents are doing everything for you to study, to live, everything. So, whatever they do, probably there's a reason behind it. You need not to be angry at them. Understand them, because if you have your problems, they also have 10 times of that said problem. Kung problema mo og load, sila sad problema na sila og unsay ipaload sa inyong cellphone. Something like that ba? So, simple example. Please understand them so as for you to get, have a good relationship with your parents. Your parents will not do harm anything which will harm you. I'm not just so sure if why of all the people you'll be angry at your parents. No? um, I just hope that I will not be hearing the same reason again in the near future. No? Let's put it this way: Allen will be out of the session because he has a fight with mom. So I hope that you will not do that again, huh? It's something that you need to ponder in your heart. Be angry at me, not with your parents, because I'm giving you hard lessons. So Probably you'll be angry at me, but not with your parents because they're not the ones doing any harm to you. I'm giving you a low grade, but your parents did not give you a low grade. Probably there's a reason behind if you'll be angry at me, but not with your parents. Okay. Thank you, Edson. Thank you, Edson, for the info. Okay. Share, maganda kang tingnan pag maputol yung buhok. Pinutol mo ba yan or tinago mo lang? Okay. Okay. Parang naiba na yung discussion ni Sarah. Okay, let's proceed to the discussion further. So for example, in this expression class, 2x squared minus 7 all over x minus 3. Notice that the denominator is not a zero polynomial, di ba? The denominator is x minus 3, right? However, we can make the denominator a zero by substituting any value for x. And how will we make our denominator a zero? In its literal phrases, or in its literal phrase, we will equate it to zero. So in this case, we have, thank you, ma'am. In this case, we have x minus 3 is equal to 0. Equate that to 0, your answer for x is equal to 3. And if you're going to substitute the value of 3 class, what do you think will happen to your denominator? 3 minus 3 is 0. 2x squared minus 7 divided by 0 is undefined. That is why in the definition of a rational function, your denominator should not be a 0 so that the function will not be undefined. Get it? Speaking of the denominator to be a 0, this is our solution a while ago, class. To make the denominator a 0, we equate the denominator to 0. Say, x minus 3, equate that to 0. Transpose 3 on the other side, so x is equal to 3. If you substitute 3 to the expression, making the denominator now x minus 3 equals 3 minus 3, which is a 0, then the expression now becomes undefined. So the value of x, which is a 3, is now giving us the idea that of all the values of your x, 3 is not a potential value. Again, when we talk about domain, the values of x, right? If we have it in a coordinate, the domain is the first value, which is the x coordinate. The range is the second value, which is the y coordinate. Example, kung tayo expression dire 3 and 2. Ang domain na to, si 3, ang range, si 2. Di ba? Domain range, mo na siya ang atong first lesson, di ba? In the previous discussion in prelim. So, the further understanding, and I hope you can justify it with your own minds right now, that when you talk about domain class, it's all of domain means all the values of your x, except for that value that will make the denominator a 0. With all the values of your x, 3 is not a potential value of your x. Because you can substitute any value here. You can substitute 2. You can even substitute x to be 0. Except for x, which makes the denominator at the 0, which is 3. There goes the domain of your function. So when you talk about the domain of your function class, the domain of a rational function includes all values, real values, negative and positive values, fractions, decimals, all real numbers, except for the imaginary numbers, of course, which will make the function real, except for the values of your x that will make the denominator a 0. Let's recall the example a while ago. This is the example a while ago, class. Function f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 7 all over x minus 3. The domain of this function is simply saying that all of our values of your x except for 3. And we are going to express our answer in set builder notation. I'm not so sure if this was discussed in grade 10 math, but I think it was. Set builder notation, set theory with math 10 or math 9. I'm not so sure when was this discussed. So how will we do set builder notation? Simple as this one, class. The domain of the function f of x is equal to the values of your x such that, or okay, let me read this in full details, okay? Your set builder notation should contain the Anong tawag nito? Anong tawag nito? Parentheses, tama ba? Ano no? Braces. Braces, okay. It should contain the braces and it should contain the vertical line. Okay? So how will we read this one, class? So this is how we are going to read it. The domain of your function f is equal to the set of x such that, this is read as such that missing, such that x is a real number and x is not equal to 3. Again, the domain of your function f is equal to the set of values of x such that x is a real number and x is not equal to 3. Let's make things simple, class. You know, as Filipinos as we are, we tend to simplify everything, no? So let's simplify how we finalize our answer, class. You can express your answer in this way. This symbol, TLE, this is Gothic, Roman. Gothic or Roman, types of lettering. You can do this symbol, class, or you can just make a big letter R without doing the bulk between the curves of the R. So this is read again as the domain of the function is equal to the set of the values of x such that the elements of x are real numbers, because this symbol E is an element symbol, or the elements of x are all real numbers except 3. Pero na yung pinaka-simple na class. The best or the simplest of the final answer could be the third one. And I do believe that you will use this as your final answer. So the simplest of how we're going to express our final answer is this way. As simple as that. Of course, this is read as the domain of the function of x is equal to the set of the values of x such that x is not equal to 3. As simple as that. Okay? This already tells, but there's a big but here, class. There's a big but here because, you know, tagaan na mag-simple, i-simplify pag yun din yung pagmaayo, which is not good already. So perhaps you are going to write me the answer. The domain of function f is equal to the set of values of x wherein x is not equal to 3. Inanaon na rin yung pagsuwat gani. Let's write it in this way. The domain of your function is equal to x, which is not equal to 3. If you are going to write it in that way, sobra na sa katapuan. Hindi na yan maganda. Ilagay niyo to. Kasi ito yung importante. Because this tells us that the values of x are all real numbers except for 3. This is the meaning of this expression. All real numbers are the values of x except for 3. Hindi na lang natin sinalo yung mga Skimbertus na ganito. We just had to eliminate the other words to made use of the spare time to answer the next items, perhaps if there are a lot of things that you need to check or to answer. Pero pag nilagay niyo yung answer na ganito, mali na yan, ha? Take note, I'll mark it wrong. Or, students will answer it this way. The domain is x is not equal to 3. Sobra na namang mali. Or, you answered x is not equal to 3. Ay, masyadong mali. Okay? So, I'm not, this actually, class, eto, this is simply telling me that what are the restrictions? Perhaps if I were to ask you, what are the restrictions, which is also one of the instructions in your FT or in the activity in your module, then perhaps this is understandable. But if the instruction is find the domain, I should see annotation of your domain, which is in set builder. But if the instruction says find the restriction that will make the denominator 0, or find the values of x that will make the denominator undefined, then pwede rin siya nga answer atong madawat na siya. But if the word domain is it will be mentioned, then you have to state it in set builder notation. Here, let's tricky understanding then if you, but I think we still have another example here. So we have here another example class wherein the denominator is a trinomial. To make matters worse, we can express the denominator in polynomials. 4-term polynomial, 5-term polynomial. Pero hindi na tayo pupunta doon. Siguro sa trinomial lang tayo hanggang. So to find the restrictions or to find the values of your domain that will make the function real, we will find the values of your x in our denominator that will make the function unreal or undefined. So how will we do that? We equate the denominator to 0. Having said that, let's literally equate that to 0. But notice that the denominator is a trinomial. You can solve a quadratic trinomial by completing the square, by synthetic division, by the quadratic formula. Still remember the quadratic formula? Negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Or the simplest, since I am making sure that all values in your denominator here are factorable, let's apply factoring. Oh, guess what's the factors of x squared minus 2x minus 24? Let me ask. Sino naka... Lucia, do we have Lucia around? Okay. What do you think will be the factors of the trinomial, Lucia? Bigyan mo ako. Still remember what's factoring? Factoring is finding a binomial that will be multiplied to that said binomial so that it will equate to the trinomial. Diba? Yes, Alan. Yes, Alan. Do you have the factors
X
already?
plus 4 and x minus 6.
X plus 4 and x minus 6. Thank you, Alan. You really want to help Lucia, Alan. Very good, Alan. X plus 4 and x minus 6. Wala ko ibang meaning doon, ha? Okay. Okay, so we have the factors which was said by Alan. X plus 4, x minus 6. Thank you, Alan. So how will we apply the factoring again? Review your factoring techniques in your junior high school. So to double check if your factors are right, multiply the first terms. X times x, x squared. Multiply the last terms. 4 times negative 6, negative 24. After that, multiply the means and the extremes, and then add the result. So we have 4x and negative 6x. If you add the means and the extremes, the product of the means and the extremes, it will result to the middle term. Ganun lang. That's how you're going to check if your factors are correct. So much for that. Let's now equate the first factor, which is x plus 4 to 0. So equating the first factor to x plus 4 to 0 and the second factor as x minus 6 to 0, then the values of your x's would be negative 4 and 6. So you have now the restrictions of your ration of your domain. So we can now express that in set builder notation. Okay, so how we are going to do that? Alternatively, you can say it as the domain of your function f is equal to the set of values of x such that x is a real number and x is not equal to negative 4 and also x is not equal to positive 6. Or x, the set of values of x such that x is a real number except negative 4 and 6. Or the most favorite of them all, the domain of x is all values of x such that x is not equal to negative 4 and not equal to 6. So if you're going to wholeheartedly understand the details, actually class, this lesson is easy. Easy lang siya. Mahirapan lang tayo pag nag-find tayo ng range. No? So, fast forward. What is the range of a rational expression? The range of a rational expression is the domain of the inverse of the function. Ganun lang. What is the inverse of a function? Lesson 1, Module 4. How to change the function in its inverse? Module 4. How will you find the domain? Module 5. Combine mo na lang yung Module 4 tsaka yung Module 5, you can already find the range of your function, whether it is rational or constant, quadratic. So when you talk about the domain of the inverse of a function, that is the range of your original function. No worries, we'll have to explain that further. As soon as we understand what's the domain really, the lesson about finding the domain of a function, then it's very easy to find the range of the function. Do we have the second example? Or rather, I think this is already the third, including the previous example. We have here 2x squared all over x squared minus 1. Notice that your denominator is a difference of two squares, right? So it's so easy for us to factor the difference of two squares, and that is simply plus minus x plus 1, x minus 1. The square root of the first term and the square root of the last term, and then write it in its conjugate. Equate the two values of your x. We have x plus 1 equals 0, so x equals negative 1. And x minus 1 equals 0, so x equals positive 1. So pag yung value natin positive at saka negative of the same number, pwede natin i-combine siya into this answer. The domain is equal to the values of x such that x is a real number and x is not equal to positive and negative 1. Pwede lang ganyanan natin. Or, punta tayo sa pinaka-easy, x is equal to the values of x such that x is not equal to plus minus 1. Question? Tanong po. Pag hindi natin naintindihan po, tanong tayo. Kindly admit yourselves, raise your concern so we can answer your concern. I hope Joshua is already with us. Joshua, you're done answering the call of nature, Josh. Parang hindi pa tapos ah. Okay. Tanong. May tanong po tayo? Parang masaya ako ngayong araw na to kasi
Sir,
maganda yung understanding natin ah. I'm done, sir. Sorry, Josh. I asked you the question.
sir, do we have to solve for the denominator always?
It's always the denominator. You need not to do anything with the numerator because Edson, we're just finding the restrictions.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
values of your x here are potential values of your x actually. All values of your x are potential values of your x, except for that value that will make the denominator a 0. So in the concern of Edson, do we always find the x in the denominator? The answer is a yes. Ang concern lang natin, yung value ng x sa denominator. Wala tayong pake sa numerator kahit na anong gagawin niya. Not unless if the numerator is a radical expression. So disregard the problem. Because that is to begin with, not a rational expression. Okay? So kung wala kayong tanong, ako magtanong sa inyo. Oh, yan, sit work, larga. Tingnan natin kung kaya ba natin to sagutan. Okay, make sure that you give me the concrete notation ha. So I'll ask number 1 to be answered by Rod. Number 2 to be answered by Hazley, Ransboy. If you can have an audio Ransboy, you can, I think you can answer number 2. Number 3, I'll give this to Sean. Number 4, I'll give this to, sino ba? Number 4. Lucia. Number 4. And number 5, bigay ko to kay Christopher. Number 1 is Rod, 2 is Ransboy, 3 is Sean, 4 is Lucia, and 5 is, who's 4 again? Was it Lucia? I think. And then 5 is Christopher. I'll give you only 2 minutes because we run short of time. It's almost 8:30, so we need to finish this one. While the others are solving the items, yung iba na hindi ko tinawag, prepare kayo kasi pag mali yung sagot nila, then I will ask you the question or I'll ask you to give me your answer then. Yung iba na hindi ko natawag ha. Cher, Alona, Alan, Josh, Vince, Edson, and Jana. Hi, Jana. Good morning. Pag ready na yung number 1, unmute yourself and give me the answer. Or if you are ready with number 2, give me your answer then. So for number 1, do we have the answer ready, Rod? Parang na-offline si Rod. No, Rod? Or ako yung nag-problema sa internet ko? Okay lang ba ako? Marinig ba rin ba ako? Share? Allow na? Ah,
Yes, sir.
siguro nagloko yung... Nawala si... Wala, nandito pa ako.
I'm done, sir.
Okay,
Number 2.
Rats boy, your answer is number 2, no? You're supposed to
Yes.
answer number 2. Okay, what's your answer number 2, Rats boy?
The domain of the function g of x is not equal to 9.
Ayun, di ba sabi ko hindi pwede yung ganyan na sagot? It's not equal to 9. Oh,
I don't
ayun.
know how to dictate it, sir.
Ah, sige, okay lang, Josh. Josh Ray answered number 1. Josh Ray is correct. So Josh Ray shared his answer to me, number 1. So by the way, may I ask Rod if Rod is available? Nawala si Rod. Wala talaga. So I'll just ask Josh, no? Josh, unmute yourself and share your answer. Ay, wala rin si Josh. Okay, so let me just share the answer of Josh. The answer of Josh is this one. This is the answer of Josh. The domain of the function is equal to the set of the values of x such that x is not equal to negative 3. Equate mo lang yung x plus 3 equals 0. Transpose 3 to the other side. So, negative 3 na siya, maging negative 3. Okay? So, I hope Rod do have the same answer with Josh. Kasi nawala kabila kanina. Sir, is it okay daw?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Same as
because-
Josh, sir.
very good, very good. Because when I asked you the question a while ago, parang nawala yung audio mo kanina. Sorry, Rod. Okay, so Rod and Josh do have the same answer. So x is not equal to negative 3. So Rance boy, this is what I'm going to ask you to write as the correct answer. Okay? I'm not so sure if the audio is not if you mean to say that this is your answer when you turn on your audio a while ago. I hope that this is what you mean to say, Rance boy.
Yes, sir. Just
Very
don't know how
good.
to dictate to.
So if that is the case, then your answer is correct. According to Ransboy, the domain of the function g is equal to the values of your x such that x is not equal to 9. Yun lang. Equate mo yung x minus 9 equals 0, tapos i-transpose mo yung 9 sa right side ng equation. So nagiging positive 9. So x is equal to all values of your x such that x is not equal to 9. Yun lang. Okay, number 3. I hope mayroon na tayong sagot. Sean?
I have na, sir.
Okay, Sean, please give us your answer.
So the answer is the domain of function h of x is equal to the set of values of x such that x is not equal to x is not equal to negative 1
Negative 1 only?
and positive 2, sir.
Negative 1 and positive 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope that you did the factors correctly because I think the factors here are both negative x minus 2 and x minus 3, minus 1.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Oh, mo na yung factors niya, x minus 2, x minus 1. So therefore, if you wish to change your answer, it's now the time. What would be the potential answer there?
So the function I mean the domain of the function h of x is equal to the value of x such that equal to and equal to positive 1.
And positive.
1.
Ah, yeah. It's just that the audio is choppy. So the answer is right that the values of your x are all real numbers except for 2 and 1, except for positive 2 and positive 1, which is the answer then. Very good. So with this example, I do hope that we will now understand how to find the domain. Kasi ganito lang kadali. Find the values of x lang. In other words, find the value of x of the quadratic expression. Ganun lang. No? Number 4, Lucia, or are you ready with number 4? Okay.
The domain of the function k of x is equal to the set of values of x such as x is not equal to 4 and negative 3.
Very good. 4 and negative 3 are the restrictions of your domain. Thank you, Lucia. So we have Rod, Shan, Boy, and Lucia are then correct. Number 5, last but definitely not the least. Also, Josh a while ago was correct with number 1. Number 5, to whom did I ask number 5? Was it Christopher? Christopher, do we have the answer already, Christopher?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Give us your answer, Christopher.
The domain of function j of x such is a set of x such that x is not equal to positive and negative 1/3.
Very good. Positive and negative 1/3. So pwede niyo isali yung dalawang value if they are the same except for their sign. So isahin niyo lang pagsulat. Okay? Positive and negative 1/3. So ngayon, tanong. May tanong ba tayo? May tanong ba tayo dito? I do have here an assignment and I will post this in or paano ba natin to sagutan? Ganito na lang. I'll post. I'll give you the assignment and then you will picture your solution showing me the correct answer. Kasi mahirapan tayo mag-type sa answer sa Edmodo, di ba? I think that's an additional task for us. So you're going to take a picture of your assignment. Take a picture of your solution and then share the picture to me in a private message in the GC. A private message in the Messenger. Wag na lang sa Edmodo kasi para madali kong madali ako ma-notify, doon na lang i-send sa Messenger. Okay? So thank you for the participation of Christopher, Lucia, Shahan, Rod, and Shan. Oh, Shahan, Rod, and Shan. Shan, Rod, and Josh Ray. And Ransboy pala, nakalimutan ko Ransboy. So this is your assignment. You're going to do this within the day. And then after you have your solution, share your solution and your answer in a private message in Messenger. Picturean nyo na lang, send nyo yung solution nyo sa akin sa Messenger. And then, saan ko ilagay ito na additional points? Lagay ko to sa prelim para papasa yung iba. Can we do that? Para yung maganda para lalaki yung grade ng iba din. Is it fine with the majority? It's also one way of helping your classmates to have a good grade and a passing grade. So this will be an additional points to be recorded in prelims. Kasi parang mas madali lang to sagutan. Okay. Tapos na bang i-copy? Copy niyo, class. Or I'll just send a picture of the assignment in our GC as well. Muna na, picturean ko na lang para madali tayo kasi time na. Hindi ko na malayan, time na pala, class. 8:36. So I'll just share the assignment items in the GC. Feel free to spare some time watching your GC to see the items to be answered. Okay? So I hope that you understand our second lesson, which is our second discussion for the midterms. Take note, there are only 2 lessons that we are going to partake for the midterm exam, and these 2 lessons are not that hard except for the first lesson, which was probably a bit confusing. But we have a review time next week, so probably our center of the review will be of our first lesson, which is the inverse of a function. That would be all for today, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. Bye-bye, and see you Thursday for the checking of your module. Bye-bye.